welcome to another episode of
80-Bit Podsmash,
where gaming goes to grab a beer. We are a weekly video game podcast smashing conversations about video games with topics that you care about.
And we are your hosts, Penguin
and Termite.
And today we're drinking, where gaming goes to grab a beer, we are drinking another Devil's Backbone Danzig Porter, Baltic Porter. It is, we had this a few weeks.
Yeah, a few weeks
back.
ago we did.
Yeah.
I talked about how I don't normally like porters, but this one's acceptable. This is a pretty good one.
Yeah, so...
Velvety, rich, and roasty.
Been sitting in my fridge waiting for...
You've been aging it.
Yeah, exactly. Waiting for Termite to come back and record over at my house.
What's up?
Not much, just...
We haven't talked to our audience about the Game Awards.
Right, yeah, so we had our own Game Awards.
We did.
In last
we went
week's
through
episode
all of that.
where we talked about what we gave each category, or kind of we had our own categories that we talked about, but we didn't actually talk about kind of the highlights, because the Game Awards is not just an awards show, it is kind of a news... like a secondary news cycle for the video. It's a smaller news cycle for where some of the big developers will make announcements and stuff.
Jeff Keighley is the head of it all. He kind of puts it all together, and he works with developers and publishers to make some big game announcements. It's becoming a bigger show every year. This year they set a bunch of records again, and so it continues to be that. That's how I think it differentiates itself from like what an Oscars show would be. Oscars just run through all the awards.
Right, yeah.
They don't usually announce new things during the Oscars.
No,
where with the gaming stuff they do. And I think it's awesome, and it adds like that extra bump and excitement between the awards we might not care about as much. And they're doing a better job with it each year, but I think it went a little long this past year.
It did. Well, it didn't go long because it ran up into
we had to leave to go get Smash.
Exactly, yeah. It sucked because we had to watch the game of the year announcement on like our phone
in the car
while like picking up freaking burgers and fries from Cookout.
Yep.
On our way to go pick up Termite's copy of Smash. Yeah. And which is unfortunate because I actually have been meaning to go back and watch the speech of the
and I haven't either. You're right. Yeah, we should do that.
Well, without further ado, the winners of the game of the Video Game Awards Game of the Year was God of War.
It was.
Which was very surprising to me. I fully expected Red Dead to win, even though I wanted God of War to win. I think I told you that. I was like, I really want God of War to win, but I don't think it's going to win.
And I called it. I predicted it. We actually had a serious conversation. We're like, okay, if you had to bet on what Game of the Year is going to be, not what you want, but what you think it will be.
And I said Red Dead for sure.
You said Red Dead, I said God of War.
So I read, in hindsight, I've been reading some articles about why people think that Red Dead lost out to God of War, and I think one of the most compelling things that I read was that not enough people got to finish.
It's so big.
Red Dead, it's so long. I mean, and it came out so relatively late in the year that like people haven't really, it took me till after the Video Game Awards to beat it. And
but we're like 9-to-5ers.
Yeah, but
we're
still,
not paid to run through these games real fast.
Sure, but I
was going to say the only thing that I think docks the experience is a lot of the people I listen to, podcasters and gaming industry personalities, have they come out and said, I've had to rush this game, and it took away from the experience. Like, it's supposed to be slow. It forces you to be slow, but you can still focus on the story or shortcut side quests and skip certain things. If you're a reviewer and you have an embargo to meet, you're trying to blast through this game. That's what they did.
Yeah, but...
And so you and I would actually have gotten a better experience than, as 9-to-5ers trying to take it slow. We can only play a little bit here and there throughout a month or two, or they have to blast through it over a weekend.
Right, and so I imagine that one way or another, again, if it's intended to be taken slow, then on the one hand, you have if they did take it slow, like it was meant to be taken, then they would have had... No one would have finished the game in time to review it. But then if you blast through it, you're not getting the full experience, and so that's going to impact your perception of it as well. So I think that, again, it was a game that was designed in such a way that it got in its own way, which, again, if you're talking about Game of the Year, you got to talk about it, it's got to be Game of the Year. Whereas God of War was a nice, concise experience. Like, it did have some padding in its gameplay time, but it was mostly side content, whereas it told a really good, powerful, compelling story in a much shorter amount of time. Like, you could get through all of the side content in God of War before finishing the main story of Red Dead. Like, God of War is like a 45, 50-hour game at most if you're doing all the side content and platinuming the game. Red Dead's a 60-hour minimum main story game. So, yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Game of the Year, God of War. I'm very pleased, very proud. So,
Spider-Man got the Horizon Zero Dawn treatment from last
year.
It did. It's an amazing game.
It's an amazing game that just it just came out in a year, very competitive year for good games.
Spider-Man was nominated for a bunch of stuff.
So what, like we said, it's not just an awards show though. What major news highlights did you want to talk about?
I'm only going to talk about the ones that I cared about. There was a lot of game announcements, a lot of indie titles, a lot of things. If you guys want to go back and find those things, they're great.
I will say the one you don't have that I would put on there.
What's up?
They showed another trailer for Devil May Cry 5.
They did.
And featured the new character, the third playable character. So you can
What's
play
his name?
You can play as Dante, you can play as Nero, and then you can play as V. It's just the letter V.
Yeah.
I think it's partially inspired by the fact that it's Devil May Cry 5, so Devil May Cry V.
Oh, yeah.
So V is supposedly he's got a complicated relationship with Dante, and he looks like a summoner, like primarily. So whereas like Nero's all up in your face doing crazy crap with his like robot arm, and Dante of course is being stylish and wacky as always with all of his various weapons,
and swords, and
and wings apparently, and like a cowboy hat that he can throw. Like he's just got the wacky crazy
Mario Odyssey
style. Yeah.
Okay.
V is like a very slow pace, like he kind of walks around the battlefield with like a cane, and then like his primary way of fighting is a giant tiger and a giant bird creature, and like. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays, like how that feels. But he looks super cool compared to like just play style wise. Looks very, very satisfying.
Do we have a release date for that game?
It is March. It's a March or April. It's spring. Yeah,
okay.
It's a spring launch window. So
Coming.
I'm very stoked about that. So that was the trailer. That was my added one. You talk about yours.
There was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 announced. I lost my mind. Completely did not see this coming.
Why is it super interesting?
There's a couple of reasons. One, it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive.
What?
That's very
That's crazy because I played 1 and 2. I haven't played both of them. I briefly played 1, I think, on like the PlayStation.
Yeah, it was PS3, Xbox.
Yeah.
It was everything. It was third party entirely. So it was on PC, I think, too. But it's interesting even more so that it disappeared from the PlayStation Network a few months ago after I had purchased them on sale.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, why did they pull them from the store? Whatever licensing deal happened. So Nintendo picked it up as a exclusive. It looks like a more cel-shaded kind of art style than the first ones. I am so excited about it. It's going to be amazing. It's on the Switch.
I'll play it with you for sure.
Dude, yeah, I can't wait. I love Marvel Ultimate Alliance. A lot of people are like crapping on this game, and I don't know why. The hype's just not catching on with the mainstream, but whatever. You play what you want. I'm going to play what I want, and it's going to be a great world for all of us.
Yeah.
The next game that was announced was Crash Team Racing. Nitro fueled. They did it. They freaking remade Crash Team Racing. I'm so excited. When the first, Crash Insane Trilogy was announced and showed off and it was coming out, I was so excited about all of those games. But if there was like Crash Team Racing is that icing on the cake, I'm like, if they bring that out, it's the only kart racer that has ever
competed with
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, yeah.
With the exception of Diddy Kong Racing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I always thought Mario Kart was better than Diddy Kong Racing, but I enjoyed Diddy Kong Racing. Crash Team Racing was the first kart racer that was on par with Mario Kart. So
especially from like even Diddy Kong is still a Nintendo license. I mean, I know that Diddy Kong himself is like a rare character, and I'm assuming Diddy Kong Racing was a rare.
It was
game.
Rare.
Yep. Nevertheless, it's still in the Nintendo family of IPs. Right.
It's a Nintendo IP that was mostly, it has been in the past developed exclusively by Rare. Yeah. Diddy has been until the Donkey Kong Country Returns when Retro Studios picked it up. So all that aside, Crash Team Racing, awesome. It's the one kart racing game that has stood at the Mario Kart level. Yeah. I'm so excited to play it again. I hope I can be good at it like I am Mario Kart.
I will be bad at it because I'm not good at racing games and I'm not even very good at Mario Kart.
Another announcement that happened was another franchise, a new entry in it that is near and dear to my heart, is Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat 11 was showed off completely. Like the way they did it was awesome. They like interrupted I think it was the best soundtrack, which is no one would expect any game to be announced during during an announcement of a award,
soundtrack, which is kind of irreverent, but in a fun way. Like it was still a fun way. Yeah.
So Mortal Kombat 11 showed off like Evil Raiden versus Scorpion, which are two bad guys, and they didn't show us much.
But it was very gory what they showed us.
Oh yeah, it's par for the course for Mortal Kombat. It's nuts.
They kind of just leaned into that at some point. They were like, "Yeah, no, this is what Mortal Kombat is about."
yeah. They didn't
gratuitous violence.
No holds barred. Yep. Yeah, just go do it. At the very end, they revealed a new villain with looked like a Sands of Time glass. What do you call that?
Hourglass.
Hourglass, thank you. And a new villain that we haven't, that kind of reminiscent of Shinnok from previous entries. So we don't really know a whole lot. There's a developer preview thing happening in January 17th. So that weekend, we'll probably hear a whole bunch about what it is. Funny is the game comes out in April. Like, boom, there it is, 4 months away. Like, what?
Yep.
Yeah,
that seems to be, there's a trend of that, and that's good, because it really helps cut down on, like, hype.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just get it out there.
Even Nintendo did it. Yeah, they announced Smash Bros. A year in advance. But, like, compared to, what was it, Smash 4? One of them, Smash 4 or Smash Brawl, had, like, a huge, like, 3-year development time, and they had announced it way too soon, and it was just dragging.
Yeah.
So, like, even Nintendo was like, oh, yeah, we're going to shorten this hype window. So,
yeah, love it. Fallout 4 was another one that was amazing.
Yeah.
The short announcement time.
Speaking of Smash,
there was
surprise. We all thought that Nintendo was like, we got a big announcement during
we thought it was going to be
the Game
Metroid
Awards,
Prime
and
Trilogy.
everyone thought it was going to be exactly,
or Metroid Prime 4.
or Metroid Prime 4. Yeah, everyone thought, okay, well, literally Smash is coming out tonight, so they're done with all the Smash news. But nope, they announced the first DLC character after Piranha Plant, which isn't really a DLC character. He is, but he isn't. The first DLC Smash character out of 5 is going to be, for those who don't know, a month later, Joker from Persona 5, not Joker, the Marvel or the DC
Comics
Batman villain. No, Joker, the character from Persona 5. I didn't know his name was Joker until literally Smash Bros. Announced it. So yeah, Persona 5 is going to get some Smash representation, which is cool because it kind of sets the precedent. Reggie Fils-Aimé said that, like, we're announcing this character and we want you to keep in mind that this is going to be like the kind of character that we're adding to Smash. It's the kind of character to expect from DLCs, which is really cool because Persona, as far as we know, Persona is in the same position that, like, Cloud was. Yeah. When, before Final Fantasy VII was announced, ported to the Switch, like, it's a character that has never been on a Nintendo console.
Right. Yeah, here it is on Smash.
Yeah. So some people think it's going to result in a Persona 5 port, which would be cool.
I hope so.
I would totally play it on the Switch. But yeah, I think that's cool. So that leads us to some pretty interesting
speculation.
Yeah, speculation, because we've got this precedent. The speculation, the one that I've seen potentially leaked again. Right. After the Grinch leak, I will now forever take Smash leaks for a much more grain of salt. The leak the quote unquote leak that I've seen is Edric from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And the reason is because there was something to do with, like, the format of the leak was the same as Joker's leak, but
you never know.
Again,
take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
That
Grinch leak was incredibly sophisticated. So someone just copying the format of Joker's release would not be hard. Too surprising to me. So yeah,
I was extremely excited to hear someone speculate Sora from Kingdom Hearts, which people have done before, but Linkle. How can I have never thought of Linkle in Smash? Yeah. I've never thought about it until I saw it, and I was like,
Linkle's technically a Koei Tecmo character from, but they won't work closely with them from with the Warriors rollout. So
they need that.
I would be thrilled.
It'd be amazing.
Although it would be technically another freaking. I know she'd have a whole different moveset.
Yeah, there would be no sword.
It'd still be a Link copy.
Yeah, I guess.
But there are other Hyrule characters that I would prefer to see in Smash. Skull Kid and Midna would be my top. But still, you're right. I would be very happy to see Linkle. I would be happy to see Linkle in anything. Yeah. I want Linkle to have her own freaking game.
Me too.
She's such a great character.
Yeah. Cool.
Smash.
So Smash Bros is our, like, favorite thing all the time. Yeah. But right now, doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Favorite things.
Little zest. Just teeny bit.
I didn't hear it. I'll have to go check it out when I go re-listen to this.
Favorite things. It's the first segment of our podcast where we try to keep you up to date with what we are digging, what thing that we're into, what thing during our week that we are like, this is my favorite thing this week. And the hopes that you might find your new favorite thing. So...
Yeah, and make suggestions for you guys to go inspire you. Yeah. To have favorite things, too.
So what's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is we had every year, the company I work for, Simventions, has a pajama day where the executive leadership, so that's CFO, CEO, COO, they all cook breakfast for the whole company. And we have a giant open center court area where the whole company is invited. Everyone's there, and we're all in PJs. There's a big gift card exchange where, like, you give a gift card, but you're going to get one back. And you may make her lose a couple bucks, but it's fun. I was, this year, kind of in charge of putting together some video games to play. So I had some people bring some Switches in, and we had 2 TVs with Smash Bros.
Nice.
and a third one with Mario Kart, all in that center court area.
It's great that you're becoming known as the video game guy.
Yeah. And of course I talk about the podcast with all my coworkers and stuff too. So it was a super fun day, really, really laid back. After that, the company is huge. There's like 200 plus employees, and we're divided amongst 4 big groups. If you include the executive leadership team, that's 5. So we're like split up in 5 teams. So our actual group of people had our gift exchange, White Elephant gift exchange today too. And it just creates this whole like super awesome family kind of culture. You know, we're laid back. Everyone's doing their work. We're off and on our computers all morning, all day. We're taking phone calls. Like, we're still doing stuff. Yeah. But we're in PJs, and we've done a giant breakfast together, and now we do a White Elephant together, and it's just like this cool Slack day.
Yeah.
It almost feels like the last day of school.
Yeah.
When like you watch a movie instead of like take a lesson, but you're still in school kind of thing. So super, super fun. That's my favorite thing this time because we do it every year. And this is my 8th time doing it. I've been with the company 8 years. So
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it was awesome.
My favorite thing is, so I'll preface by saying, for those who know me, and hopefully by this point in the podcast, you listeners who may not know me very well, could probably at least figure out that I'm a very type B personality. I'm like a kind of like laid back.
To say the least.
I really like relaxing. One of my vices is, if I were to pick a 7 deadly sin, I would pick sloth because I tend to be hard to get motivated to do things. That said, every once in a while, I will get really, really productive and have a day, like I'll have these days where I just have these random bouts of just incredible productivity. And I had one of those this past Saturday, and it was great. I did so many things. I put together the crib. I've been procrastinating on that. There's been a big old giant box sitting there in our nursery that I've been like dragging my feet on. So I like that was like the first thing I did in the morning. I woke up, I had to grab coffee, and I start putting together the crib. I'm like, this is a rite of passage. Yep. It was a pain in the butt, but I'm like, setting up the sleeping place for my child is a rite of passage, but we're only like 2 months out, and like my niece is coming, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, Brianna and her daughter. So
shout out to Bree. We have an interview with her a couple episodes back. Check us out.
Yeah. So my niece is coming, and she's like 2, and so she's gonna break in the crib. Yeah. So so I had to make sure I set that up beforehand. But yeah, so that was like, so I started my day with that, and then cleaned out the garage because like we had a bunch of stuff in the garage, so I like basically like reorganized, completely
What'd you do with the GameCube?
Overhauled the garage. It's still there. Okay. It's blocked by some stuff, but it's there. So like completely kind of overhauled the space in the garage because I had to be able to get a car in, and there was a bunch of stuff like in the way. So I did that, and then I had to get a car in, so I because I was working on the car, so I had worked on one of the cars, and I'm trying to think what was and then I worked on the lights. Like I hung some more, I grabbed Christmas some more lights, and hung some more Christmas lights. Got that looking good because like I had started the process like a few days earlier, so I had some stuff up, but I wasn't really like pleased with how it turned out. Yeah. So I bought a few more lights to kind of supplement because I had to swing by the car shop, and then like near the car shop there was like a Family Dollar, and I was like, I'm gonna pop in there and grab some duct tape because I needed that. Yeah. So I was like, grab some duct tape, and while I was there, I was like, oh, there's really cheap Christmas lights. So I grabbed some more Christmas lights to supplement and then I got it looking like, it looks what awesome. I considered good. So
I like it.
So yeah, that productive day was my favorite thing, which is, again, it's kind of out of character for me, but I just like, I felt like I accomplished.
Done.
Yeah, I accomplished stuff. It was one of those days where like I felt sore and tired, but I felt like I had earned my like lazy time. So yeah, that was my favorite thing.
Welcome to my daily life.
That's great.
For us type A
I don't want it to be my daily life, so I can be pleased and happy with it
up
when I do get it.
Feet hit the ground running. Ugh. Productivity out the
literally
gate.
running for you in your case.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, there's that.
Okay, next segment of our podcast is DLC.
Downloadable content.
Downloadable content, or DLC, is a segment where we just kind of have like a fun mini discussion, something that's just like a conversation you wouldn't maybe normally have about video games. We're going to have it here for fun.
Yes. So it's extra and not related to our topic sometimes.
And usually it's more like conceptual.
Yes.
So, yeah, cool. So our conceptually and kind of weird sub-discussion today is inspired by the fact that by this time I will be starting a very strict diet.
Are you ready?
Trying to lose some weight. I'm like, no. But it's kind of like, for me, there's only a certain level of preparation I can make to really be quote unquote ready. I mean, I still have some things that I want to do, some preparation that I want to do, but, I'm I mean, part of the whole reason about starting it in January is because I wanted to, in December and November, just kind of let loose.
Right.
And do what I like.
You have all the holidays, New
exactly,
Year's, Christmas,
holidays.
Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Right.
But January, it's going to be really strict. So I'm going to be really cranky.
Are you?
Yeah, because I remember last year when I did I did a less strict diet last year, and I was really cranky when starting it. And so this is a way more strict diet, so I'm going to be like super cranky. So because I have that reaction, I imagine many people have that reaction when they're dieting.
It's completely normal.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So hangry, it's just basic.
Right.
It's just true basic hangriness.
In 2018, I lost 20 pounds and I gained it all back.
Yep. Oh,
so
yeah.
I have
I've
to
lost
go
most
lose
of
that.
mine. Yep.
Yeah, I need to go do that again. Too.
Yeah,
So I'm in the same boat.
Yep. So, given that we'll probably both be dieting at this point in time when our listeners are listening to this, I wanted to do a DLC where we talked about, basically we thought about what video game characters would be like when they're hangry.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do one on who do you think would be the angriest video game character on a diet.
And I'm going to say, and it's probably the same as you.
Really?
King DDD.
Oh, we're close, but I have a different one.
Kirby? Yeah.
I was thinking Kirby.
Yeah.
I bet Kirby. I mean, he doesn't talk, right? Any of his games, he doesn't really have a voice. So he's just kind of like, I remember in the cartoon, he was basically presented as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's specifically they were even like, he's like a day old or something like that. So, but like, he also had a temper.
Yeah, he did.
So I imagine that when he wouldn't get any food, he'd be
King DDD is huge, and he's kind of the like eating food mascot across all the Kirby games, including Smash, and he's kind of sucking in food all the time.
Which is funny because they're like villain, like he's like the villain, so they're counterpointed, but they have so much in common. They both always want to eat. Yeah.
And King DDD would throw spike balls at you and throw all of his Waddle Dees at you and send the cloud that shoots lightning with spikes in it after you, and he'll just wreck your house if you don't feed him. Yep. So King DDD.
I think you're right. I think he would be meaner.
Oh, wait.
I think he'd be meaner, but I also wouldn't want to get between Kirby and a meal.
No,
Does
you
that
just
make
back
sense?
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll turn into an anvil and smash your face.
Exactly. Yeah. I would be more scared of Kirby if I were to get between him and a meal than I would be King DDD. Because like King DDD would be objectively meaner, just all around meaner, but I still wouldn't want to get in the way of.
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course. Yeah. For King DDD.
Exactly. Yeah. You kind of know what you're getting. What you see is what you get. Whereas with Kirby, it's like, oh snap!
Yeah,
he gonna turn into a lake chest and drop on me.
Brap chicka brap, these cops till I'm free.
Man, he got buffed in Smash too. That move in particular is like killer now. So I would definitely not wanna.
Yeah,
I've seen what that can do to me firsthand.
Whoops.
All right, that's DLC for the day.
Way to clip them software.
Just a little bit. Just teens a bit.
Yeah.
Right. So now we can move into our main topic, which we didn't introduce on the onset of the podcast.
We didn't.
So sorry, we tried to do that ahead of time, but you guys also can look at the titles, so you probably have an inkling of what we're talking about. This week, we're going to be doing another one of our new series, which is a developer profile. We really like the idea of digging into some of these developers we like. And after spending the last 3 months with Red Dead Redemption, we thought it would be fun to do a developer profile on Rockstar.
Yeah.
We would have probably done it a lot earlier if it were a normal time of year, but we had so many special episodes and stuff that we never really got a chance to sit down. But it's a new year. And so this is actually the first podcast of the new year, technically, because our New Year's episode aired on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
So it's still December.
It is.
So we're going to kind of deep dive into Rockstar as a developer and kind of talk about, we're going to start just kind of talking about the basics, what games they're famous for, their history.
This is well timed because Rockstar developed Grand Theft Auto 5, which was 2013, and hasn't come out with anything until Red Dead 2.
Yeah, and maybe it could very well be one of the last chances we'll have to do a Rockstar developer profile and talk about something relevant for another 5 to 10 years.
Right.
So, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll talk about their popular franchises. We'll talk about a little bit about their history, how they came to be.
We are going to lay some knowledge on y'all.
Yeah, this is an interesting one too. We will talk about our favorite Rockstar games, our favorite Rockstar moments. We'll talk about how they're innovative. We'll talk about just what we want to see more of from them in the future. So we'll start at the start at the beginning. Who are Rockstar? What's the basics? What are they known for?
They started in 1998. Take-Two Interactive acquired assets of dormant British video game publisher BMG Interactive from its parent BMG Entertainment. I'm taking most of this information from research I did online, which is mostly Wikipedia. So not even trying to hide that. Like, I didn't know this off the top of my head. So I learned something, in preparation for this episode too. Through the acquisition, Take-Two Interactive gained rights to BMG Interactive owned intellectual properties, including Grand Theft Auto, and what was then an upcoming game called Space Station Silicon Valley. BMG Interactive executives Sam and Dan Houser established Rockstar as a subsidiary that year in 98.
Yeah. So here's where it's interesting. So we usually tend to, in this podcast, talk about a distinction between the publisher and the developer. So usually the developers are the ones who make the game and the publishers are the ones who pay for it and do handle things like marketing and distribution, right? So we talked about that we had a whole
how a game gets made
top-down
episode.
view about how games get made, and we talked about that distinction. What's interesting about Rockstar is even though there is a parent company called Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar is a publisher of games in their own right. And that's not just a situation where they are a publisher of their own games, because there are some, Blizzard, for example, before they were acquired by Activision, Blizzard similarly would publish their own games that they developed. But that's not the case. That is the case with Rockstar, but they also will publish games that they don't develop. So Rockstar so it's weird. They're a very strange kind of exception to a lot of the rules, but the reason we point that out is that they're big. They're big and they do a lot. They're involved in a lot of games that they're not directly involved with, if that makes sense. Which is just crazy too, because Take-Two is also Take-Two also publishes games, and I guess Take-Two is like the umbrella, and then under the umbrella you've got Rockstar and 2K, right?
Right, and 2K is split between 2K Games and 2K Sports.
Yeah.
So all three
crazy.
kind of game links there. I mean,
Very, very, it's just a very big, massive kind of organization structure there. But, cool.
So the publisher name is Rockstar Games. And so the studios that are development studios under that are 9 of them that are kind of the primary ones. There's also some smaller ones I'm not going to list. But there's
let's tag team, like ping pong each one.
Okay. Some are centered in America, some are overseas. So we'll just kind of go through those studios. So Rockstar North,
Rockstar New England,
Rockstar San Diego,
Rockstar London,
Rockstar Studios,
Rockstar Toronto,
Rockstar Leeds,
Rockstar India,
Rockstar Lincoln.
Yeah, it's a lot of Rockstars.
I think they have a Vancouver one as well. So like I said, there's other ones. They're there. Lots of studios developing tons of stuff. So that's kind of a rundown of what Rockstar is. They started in 1998. They are known for these popular franchises, in case you are wondering why you might care about this at all. If you've ever heard of Grand Theft Auto, that was developed by Rockstar North.
Yeah, we just established 2 episodes ago that Grand Theft Auto 5, since it's been out in, the past 5 years.
Yeah, 2013 was when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out.
Yeah, and it has been the single best-selling.
It has existed on the top 10 every holiday since.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's a top 10
every year.
Selling, even as late as last year, is still selling copies of a game that's 5 years old. Like, it's this franchise is insane. Like, this franchise makes so much money. So Grand Theft Auto. Did you want to talk about the other titles?
Sure. So Smuggler's Run, you may have heard of it, was developed by Angel Studios. Fun fact I learned today. Angel Studios developed Resident Evil 2.
What?
Weird. Yeah.
That's
Rockstar
crazy.
San Diego is the studio that developed that now.
Yeah.
So it used to be Angel Studios, was involved in the Nintendo 64 port of Resident Evil 2 specifically. And that was published by Capcom, of course.
Yeah.
The original Resident Evil 2 for PlayStation was not Rockstar San Diego, but the N64 port was, and I was like, wow,
crazy.
Who would have thought? Because I just watched a video about that and saw it. And I was like, who'd have thought? So Smuggler's Run, there's a couple of titles in the franchise. I've never played them. So that's developed by Rockstar San Diego. Midnight Club, which was a street racing game that was extremely arcadey, a direct competitor to Need for Speed Underground at the time. I loved Midnight Club. I played a couple of them on the PS2. They were developed by Rockstar San Diego / London. The reason why I say both is because Rockstar London developed the LA remix version of those. If you've ever played Max Payne, this is where the publisher and developer branch off. So Max Payne 1 and 2 were developed by Remedy.
Okay.
Published by Rockstar.
Gotcha.
Max Payne 3 was developed by Rockstar Studios.
Gotcha. Okay.
Weird. This is going to get nuts. Trying to follow the publisher to developer distinguishing. Manhunt, there was 2 games in that franchise, which was okay. It was kind of fun, very dark, psycho post-apocalyptic. No, it was the idea of it's not post-apocalyptic at all. The idea of putting a bunch of criminals in a city, like a walled-off city, and just letting them run rampant on each other, and that's their sentence. Is
dystopian.
I guess so, but it's a modern society like today. Like it'd just be like modern day, New York City, and in New York City is a smaller city, maybe a borough-sized land unit. That's like Brooklyn or Queens that would have just criminals in it. Yeah, and it's all walled off.
Gosh, I don't know what you would call that because it's not
Arkham
quite
City.
Dystopian, but it's.
Have you ever played Arkham City?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that.
Right.
I mean,
I haven't actually played it, but I played the first one. I played Arkham Asylum. I've been meaning to. I own Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. I've been told Arkham City is the best of the.
I like
franchise.
Arkham Asylum the best, but that's up for debate. Anyway, so that's what Manhunt was. It was fun. It was okay. It was dark, very dark, kind of scary. The next is Red Dead Redemption. That was developed by all of the Rockstar
Which
studios.
is another game we haven't shut up about for the past few months since it came out. We literally were just talking about it in our intro, and we'll talk about it more today. So.
Yeah, we will. Rockstar San Diego is the primary developer of Red Dead Redemption, but they also had help from all of their studios. It was kind of an all-hands-on-deck because it was so big. If you ever played Bully, there's one entry in that game. I've never played it either. I want to, but it was made by Rockstar Vancouver.
Okay.
And then L.A. Noire was...
Another really popular game.
Yeah, L.A. Noire was awesome. I love that. A lot of people hated on it because it was kind of like Grand Theft Auto Light. And
yeah, I can see that.
They made fun of the whole facial features that you had to track with the lie detection, and I thought it was great, innovative and new. Set in the 1940s, it was like a crime solving game. Really,
it's
really cool.
What I like about Rockstar, just from a high level, looking at all these franchises, you see there's with some of the other developers we covered, both Insomniac and. Uncharted. Naughty Dog, yeah.
The Uncharted developer. Naughty Dog,
yes. With both of those developers, there was a lot of diversity in the games that they made over the course of their entire lifespan. Just in both cases, you had some really colorful games and then some more serious kind of games as they grew up, if you will. I like how Rockstar, you both have a very... in all these games that I'm looking at, just kind of from a high level, tonally they're all very similar in the sense that they tend to be a little bit more grittier, darker. Realism is very important to Rockstar's franchises, and yet at the same time there's such a diversity of style because L.A. Noire and Max Payne are very stylized games. Stylistically, they're in both cases. There's kind of a film noir, obviously with L.A. Noire, there's sort of a film noir style to them, while also still dealing with very similar, like you said, Grand Theft Auto Light, it's still dealing with very similar themes and very similar tones, while still managing some stylistic diversity. So I think it's bravo to them. They've been managed to stay pretty consistent in the types of games that they've made.
You can almost identify them without having to know.
Exactly. It's a Rockstar. I'm not surprised that Max Payne and L.A. Noire, even if I wouldn't be able to consciously be oh yeah, Max Payne and L.A. Noire are Rockstar games. When you say that, I'm not surprised. I'm oh yeah, that makes sense. I can see how they're developed both by Rockstar. So, yeah.
And there's definitely no cell shading going on.
Right.
No Borderlands style.
Right. All right. So what's your favorite Rockstar game?
It was I loved Red Dead Redemption 1, and I feel that was lost. A lot of people didn't hit the mainstream market the way Red Dead 2 did. And I liked Red Dead 1 better at the time it had come out, better than anything else. That was my absolute favorite Rockstar game. Yes, I played Grand Theft Auto 3, I played Vice City, and I played San Andreas. I played all those. I never finished any of them because they didn't grab me. They didn't have their hooks in me. I also played Grand Theft Auto 4. Same deal. I just got bored. It never clicked, right? Yeah. Red Dead Redemption 1, amazing. I finished the whole game. It had all of its hooks in me. It was absolutely incredible. Well, now, fast forward to today, Grand Theft Auto 5 continued that trend, and it was then my favorite Rockstar game.
So it seems like you've changed, sort of going with the
flow. I think Rockstar has changed in what they tried to do.
Yeah, they keep kind of pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, they're always
games.
innovating. Yeah. With Grand Theft Auto 5, there was 3 characters, which I was speculating how that would... I was not speculating. I was concerned about having the story split up over 3 characters. How are you going to do all that in a giant open world? How are you going to maintain... Because in the past, they had stat building stuff in San Andreas with your diet and workouts and kind of almost these RPG elements, but not really. They mildly affected the game. So I was 3 characters, how are we going to split this up? They nailed it. It was amazing. So... They do all the stats between the 3 that you can do. You can get better guns across all of them, kind of mildly tweaking the character statistics, but it still hardly affects the game at all. And the story was super compelling. Massive satire over our cultural relevancy at the time, especially with the Silicon Valley startups, the tech boom of, 2013, kind of the early 2010s. Everything was all about cell phone apps and, new technology, web apps. Everything was all like, and Silicon Valley, the show, kind of touches on that too.
Yeah.
The whole, that whole idea and what that culture was. Millennials coming into the workforce. And Grand Theft Auto 5 dealt with that by having 3 very different characters. That was my favorite game. Now it's Red Dead Redemption 2.
So it's changed again.
It has. Yep. So a very short answer, Red Dead Redemption 2. But the long answer was what I just gave you. Yeah. So you're welcome. Red Dead Redemption 2, again, continues to even take something it's set in the 1890s and apply current cultural relevant issues, such as the oppression of minorities, speaking out for those who are oppressed, looking out for others, honor, what's it all worth. Awesome. Just like you see the band of outlaws and the main leader kind of going crazy, being influenced by nuts and rationalizing it all and leading an entire group of people through story arcs that I won't spoil. And it was awesome. So completely unprecedented. They stretched the boundaries again. Red Dead Redemption 2 is by far my favorite Rockstar game.
Nice. It's funny because almost all the developers we've picked, like I haven't been super familiar with them, like their earlier work, and then basically picked the latest work as my pick, and this is going to continue the trend. Rockstar has been a developer I've been adjacent to. I have obviously played Grand Theft Autos before, so I'm not a barbarian. I've played a Grand Theft Auto game, but I haven't really played many of their other things. I think that I would be, if I had the taste in video games when I was younger that I do now, I would probably be really interested in Max Payne. Like, I think I would have actually played it.
So good.
And I think that based on what I've seen of it and like what I know about it, I would probably love Max. I probably love that franchise because I think it's very artistic. What turned me off when I was a kid is literally the name is Max, Payne, Payne as a name. Like, that's the guy's name is Max Payne, and I thought that was just such an egregious pun when I was a child that I would not play it as for that reason. So,
you know what the main health thing is?
No,
painkillers.
Of course.
Yeah, you have a health meter that is only restored by painkillers.
And I think that's great now.
It's
awesome. As an adult, I think
Yeah.
that's a very fun idea. As a child, I would have found that so gauche, which is not even a word that I would have known as a kid. Anyways, so I am remiss that I never got involved. If they come out with a new one at some point, I would probably want to pick it up, or like a remaster series. I'd probably want to pick it up. All that's just to say, Red Dead's really the only Rockstar game that I've ever given the time of day to.
Yeah.
So I will say Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I did play Vice City I would say of games that I actually played, I did love Vice City, but I loved Vice City for all the wrong reasons. I just liked getting cheat codes and having unlimited Molotov cocktails and like literally lighting city blocks on fire. Or breaking into the airport and flying around. Yeah, exactly. So I only liked the sandbox elements of Grand Theft Auto, not the actual story elements, which is unfortunate because Rockstar does a really good job
with story
in sandbox games, but I never knew that until Red Dead Redemption 2.
Great segue into how has Rockstar brought innovation to the industry.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start with that since I was just talking about it. Yeah, I think that the way that they tell stories in open world games is really, really good. I think they set the bar, especially with Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't think we would have had games like Breath of the Wild or The Witcher without Grand Theft Auto 5 just kind of setting, again, it's a 5-year-old game, so it's really inspired a lot of the work that's come out since then. I don't think we would have had as robust open world games as we've had without Rockstar continually trying to like experiment with that format. And yeah, they've kind of proven that you can tell a really good, compelling story with characters and plot developments and stuff like that in an open world game.
It's interesting to me, Rockstar, the innovations that they brought to the table are both gameplay mechanics and storytelling.
Combined, yeah.
Storytelling, I'm looking for a word, avenue or a storytelling
medium,
like vehicle.
Yeah, okay.
Because Max Payne is all about a graphic novel translated into a game. It's super dark and gritty. L.A. Noire is a crime-solving, like 1940s noir film,
right? Yeah,
storytelling medium. And then Grand Theft Auto is an open world with a through line of storytelling.
Right. And what I hated about the story missions as a kid in Grand Theft Auto at least like Vice City and Grand Theft Auto 3, the ones I played, was like you'd have these missions where you're just like, oh, I'm delivering pizzas or something stupid. You know what I mean? Now, as a grown up, like with Red Dead Redemption 2, it was some of the more mundane missions that I actually enjoyed more because I'm like, wow, this is interesting. Like, I don't know what changed, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up, my tastes changed. I probably wouldn't have enjoyed House of Cards when I was like a 13-year-old either, you know what I mean?
But I think Rockstar has matured too.
Yeah.
I think their missions in Red Dead Redemption 2 are more relevant to the story. They're more in line with the gameplay mechanics.
And it's like, it's more about like pushing, I think they've really hit that sweet spot of like, if a mission seems more down to earth and mundane, like it's usually advancing character, if not plot. So like they've done a lot better with the character work because there were like, again, missions where I'm delivering pizza as what's his face Italian dude in Vice City. I'm like,
right.
But like when I'm actually like sitting down with someone and helping them, oh, your husband just died. Let's work on just like how do you hunt, how do you fish? Like there's a whole like side mission where you had to like help some like poor widow. Yeah, exactly. And then like later she like fed you beans, and you're like, again, it's a super simple mission. You're sitting there eating beans, but there's like so much character work that's going into the character at that point, and it's like, yeah. So I think that's.
Rockstar also, since they laid the groundwork for Grand Theft Auto 5, which was the biggest success modern times. Red Dead Redemption 2 is quickly hitting it to beat it. But leading up, laying the groundwork for that is Grand Theft Auto 3 on the PS2, which was completely unprecedented and a monumental task in development at the time for that console. Like, they pushed technical boundaries farther than anyone had ever done. To have a massive, open, sprawling city with which you could do a complete sandbox, do whatever you want, run anywhere you want to go, and have these missions and tell a good story.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so crazy to me that like we take just the idea of a sandbox for granted.
It started with Grand Theft Auto 3.
Really, I mean, they've been doing it for 15, coming up on 20 years now. They've been pushing. And that's what, like, that is the mark of, like, good video games these days. I mean, World of Warcraft, everything from World of Warcraft to Skyrim to Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Like, they all owe, and games that haven't come out yet, like freaking Anthem.
Yeah.
They all owe Grand Theft Auto. They all owe Rockstar for, just experimenting that with the past.
And the success, the financial success, is kind of really what steered and drove the gaming industry to chase after that. That open world. Yes, we would not have Breath of the Wild. We would not have Horizon Zero Dawn. We would not have God of War the way that it looks now today.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have Red Dead Redemption. I mean, obviously because made by Rockstar, but that's all influenced by the success of Rockstar's innovation.
Yep. It's crazy. Cool. So let's zoom in and just sort of talk about Rockstar. This is a sort of a fun question I like to add with each developer profile, and that's sometimes you can just identify like who the developer is based on just like a little thing in a game that you're like, oh, that's an Insomniac thing, or that's Blizzard through and through. So I would like to ask this: is there anything like that in Rockstar where it's something that they include in lots of their games that it's an easily identifiable Rockstar thing?
And there's a satirical nature that they've weaved through every one of their games, and it comes out like Grand Theft Auto is super upfront about it. Like the radio personality is like obviously making fun of like Starbucks and its culture, and like they just
I would
really
just turn that. I would literally like we'd be over at a friend's house. I was over at a friend's house and we'd play Vice City. We wouldn't play it. We would literally just drive around town listening to the radio, and like talk show.
Hilarious,
so
right?
Good,
and then you have like Red Dead Redemption 2 in 1890s, and there's satirical people that are in that, like the circus troupe, and you have like the KKK that's running through that you actually gain honor by stopping, and those kinds of things are woven through that are less obvious up front, but they're there,
right?
And there's a feel to that I can't really describe. You can tell that it's a Rockstar thing.
The one thing, it's a small thing, and it's really only 2 games that I'm aware, because again, I don't have a lot of experience through Rockstar, but the whole like wanted system, bounty wanted system, it was just when I was playing Red Dead, again, this being my first time playing Red Dead, I know that Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto are kind of married in a lot of ways. They
use the same engine.
Yeah, they use the same engine. They're kind of meant to be very similar experiences, but nevertheless, again, Red Dead is often meant to, people will say it's Grand Theft Auto with like yeehaw, but nevertheless, they are, even if they're designed intentionally to make you reminisce of each one, like the minute I did something quote unquote bad. I pulled a gun on someone in town in Red Dead Redemption, and it was like, "You're wanted by the law." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting flashbacks to Grand Theft Auto."
Yep.
So I feel I don't know. I think that there's not many games that do that same thing. The Witcher, for example, or Skyrim, like the way they handle infractions of the law is just NPCs will go hostile around you. They'll be like, "We're suddenly angry at you for doing this thing." So to have an actual system where like, the NPCs get hostile in you in the Rockstar games too, but there's also this whole system where like, we're searching for you, we're gonna put a bounty on your head, like you have to go away and like let things cool down. Like, I don't know, the stylistically it's very rocks, like it's very unique to their games.
It is
that you don't see in any other games. So that was mine. All right. And then kind of our last question, which is nice. We can kind of finish a little bit early here. What is something that you would like to see more or less of from Rockstar in the future?
I would love to see a sequel or something related to LA Noire. I'd love to do that again. It's a very story-driven game with the whole facial animations that you had to pinpoint on to do lie detection. But I loved the crime scene investigations across each mission in the game. Basically, like every big chapter was a different crime to solve, and getting evidence and establishing a case against somebody else. It was very unique, and nothing else has done that. I would love to see another one, or at least expand upon that, innovate differently. I can't think of how they could, because that's not my job. That's Rockstar's, and they would nail it. They would come up with some new system, something new and awesome that's never been done. I would love that. Also, I would love single-player DLC for Grand Theft Auto 5. I want to go back to those characters. I want to see new characters introduced. Would be awesome, like new story content in that city, because it's awesome. And the same goes for Red Dead 2. I would love to see some single-player DLC, but they kind of lean in on the online side of stuff, and they've supported the Grand Theft Auto Online like crazy. Like no other developer has ever supported their online games before. They add so much stuff to Grand Theft Auto Online. It's insane. And everyone's speculating that they're going to do the same with Red Dead. Yeah. Maybe not focus on the online stuff and give us single player dudes over here, a carrot or a nugget would be awesome. Yeah. And you mentioned a Max Payne like remake, a 3-pack with all 3 games up-resed for PS4 would be
Switch.
with trophies would be amazing.
Or Switch for people.
LA Noire's on the Switch. They did that. Yeah.
I just want to see more from Rockstar. Again, there's a great infograph out there floating around the internet. If we can find it, we'll link off to it. But it's a demonstration. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's a demonstration. You can actually see they have like all the years, and you can see all the releases that Rockstar has made. And it's like in the mid 2000s, it was just tons.
Pretty
of
much
games
every franchise I listed
just
earlier in this episode was all released in that early
in the last and then it's like. And then literally the last 2 games they released in the past 10 years have been Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2.
It's like really,
it's just they just slowed down. Yeah, they've slowed down their development. So I'd like to see more, because now that they're on my radar, if we do a developer profile about like anyone, by the way, it's because that developer's on our radar. Like that developer is someone that we have played a game that has been interesting enough to us that we've wanted to talk about them on the podcast. So at least these early ones, we'll see how things go down the road when we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. But in this case, like if we are like making a priority, then they're on my radar. So I'd like to see more from Rockstar, because I'd like to play more of their games. But specifically, I think they're another developer I'd like to see kind of branch out into some different styles of game development. So as much as I was applauding them for kind of keeping a good like tonally consistent in the kind of games they released, I would like to see them with any developer that's like that. I would like to see them take a crack at high concept sci-fi,
Yeah, sci-fi would be completely out of their league.
Exactly.
You've never done that.
Something completely sci-fi, something high concept that's like, again, like I'm thinking BioShock or CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk, yeah, exactly. Like I would like to see them kind of go get weird. I want to see them get weird, because as much as like a game like Grand Theft Auto that's grounded in realism is ripe for satire, because again, you can just literally pick on things. We also see great sci-fi games are another good
vehicle
genre for satire, and we see that with the Borderlands franchise. So I'd like to see that. And another game that comes to mind is something that was announced during the Game Awards. So this kind of harkens way back to our banter at the beginning.
Yeah.
Outer Limits, the game that's being developed by Obsidian.
Oh yeah, that
Entertainment.
looks awesome.
That looks they're the makers of
Sorry, I
Fallout
forgot
New
that.
Vegas. Yeah, exactly. And that game, the trailer is like, again, very kind of satirical sense of humor, kind of like picking fun of themselves. Like I'd like to see. I think that would be a really fun realm for Rockstar to kind of get into. I would love to play a game like that made by Rockstar.
Yeah.
So seeing them branch out would be fun. So, but I do like, again, that they kind of remain tonally consistent and that they're experimenting a lot with realism. I know that sounds like experiment with realism, but again, realism is a movement. It was a theatrical movement, and so I'd like, so
This is not a moment; it's a movement.
Movement, yes. So I'd like to see. So it's treating realism as a movement is and honestly, not a lot of games these days are like, we've kind of swung back on the pendulum and we're doing more of the kind of wacky crazy locations and feels, whereas like the mid 2000s was like the heyday for like video game realism, quote unquote. So
We talked about that in previous episodes.
we did, yeah. So it's nice to it's nice that they're like still kind of experimenting with realism, but at the same time, like, yeah, but my tastes are kind of crazy, high concept fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah,
So, that's where my tastes are, because that's being
Which is
driven
why
a lot
you
by
will
video
like
games.
them in Cyberpunk.
Yep. Yep.
Can't wait.
Exactly. That's why I liked God of War. That's why I like Horizon Zero Dawn. So yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Jason Schreier at Kotaku, who published a ridiculously long but totally well worth reading article about the crunch time kind of controversy that came out as a result of Red Dead Redemption 2's development. One of the lead designers, developers came out and said, "Oh yeah, we're hitting the 100-hour work weeks." Trying almost flippantly saying we're working our butts off on this game for you, but it backfired on him because it kind of drew.
Right, there's already a lot of heat on the idea of like,
teams
you're
are working-
overworking.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want video game developers being overworked, like, because like that kind of situation leads to unions, which eventually can cause other problems. So like, we want them to continue making good video games. We also don't want people getting burned out and quitting.
Right.
The industry.
Apparently, there's lots of issues. There have been divorces over the course of development because of the time spent working. So families have fallen apart. People have gone into depression and obesity and other forms of, alcohol and substance abuse to cope with the extreme work conditions that are apparently around. And so this article goes through. He has tons of interviews with the inside that are anonymous and not. Super awesome. I think the fact that got so much light and was talked about for so long right before Red Dead 2 came out, I think that will affect change.
I hope so. Like, again, pro tip to game developers out there. Number one, don't overwork your employees. We want your, again, and we've said on the podcast before, and I hope we speak for a lot of the video game community when we say this, we would rather you delay your game than overwork and crush your employees. We want those artists and those creators to be as fresh as possible when they're making games for you, because we want them to put out the best product they can. And when you're making them work 80 hours, sucking down Starbucks, it's candy, like like it's water, like they're going to make mistakes and it's going to suffer, like it's going to compound the game development problems. And then pro tip number 2, if you are overworking your employees, don't brag about it, or not brag about it. Like, don't try to like
flippantly talk about it as a thing that's trying to bolster your
right. Yeah, you're not doing us favors. You don't brag about it as if it's a favor. Like you're not. No, it's not a favor to us. Like, please treat your employees like human beings.
Yep. And there's some developers that like to work those hours, and that's the kind of like the hard part is you have people who are willing to work your 100-hour 2-week period, which is insane. But they're passionate about what they're doing. They're super involved in their work. They're not hurting anything, as far as their money, pay, and all that. They're happy with it, and they're doing it. So, I mean, kudos to y'all who work super, super hard. I know I work super hard at my job. I work super hard at this podcast too, but nowhere near that 100-hour work week.
For sure.
But I can find myself in that situation pretty easily if I was just left to my own devices with nothing else, no other responsibilities. It'd be easy to do, especially for type A people like myself who want to just work. I have to like force myself to stop.
It reminds me of there's a comic I saw one time that was like, it was a type A person and type B person. The type A person's like, I can do everything you can do but better. And the type B person just looks at them and goes, I bet you can't relax better than me.
Yeah.
The type A person that explodes.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
So
on one hand, you've got, people who are super passionate about the job. On the other, you have an oppressive, leadership team that's, expecting you to be sitting at your desk for 80 hours in a week. It's hard. So the article really sheds light on that. It articulates that whole thought way better than we did here. So please go read that.
Yep,
I'll link off to it
Yep.
in the footnotes. And you can find our footnotes at
Whoa, we're already there?
at 80bitpodsmash.com is our landing website where you can find links to Google Play and iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio. All the links are there to any podcast service you would like. The RSS feed link is there. Just throw that into a third-party app. It will be there on social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. All 80-bit Podsmash. No hyphens or funny business. Please like, share, and subscribe to us. The biggest thing you can do for us is two things. One, rate us on iTunes. Go in there and give us an actual rating and a review. That helps us bubble up in the algorithms to be discovered. And share on social media. Actually share it with your friends list. The worst thing that could happen to you is you might be labeled a gamer.
Oh, no.
That might...
We try not to label ourselves or others as gamers because we know sometimes there's some...
Stigma?
Not just a stigma, but like legit, there was some with the whole Gamergate thing that happened a few years ago. There was a period of time where I was like, I don't want to identify as a gamer anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I like to say game people. Okay. People who play games.
Yeah.
People who like games.
We love games.
But there was one little more tidbit that I wanted to talk about that really didn't fit in any of our questions.
Uh-huh.
I didn't, for the longest time, I didn't realize, I thought Red Dead Redemption was a standalone game.
Yeah.
I did not realize there was a game. Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually the third in the series. There's a game called Red Dead Revolver. Mm-hmm. Knowing that it existed, but not really knowing anything about it, in preparing for this episode, I looked up Red Dead Revolver and read a little bit about it on Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. I also did not know that it was a completely different character. Mm-hmm. So each game is a whole different character. Now, John Marston from the second game and Arthur Morgan are connected in the last two games of the franchise. Yeah. And John Marston's the main character in Red Dead Redemption 2, whereas as far as I know, the character from Red Dead Revolver hasn't shown up in either game.
I don't know anything about the story there.
Exactly. So,
but I think you mixed it up. John Marston's the main character in Red Dead 1.
That's what I meant.
Arthur Morgan is the main character in Red Dead 2.
Yes, but they're still connected. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, he is a main character is what I meant to say in Red Dead 2. Mm-hmm. So, even though Arthur Morgan's the main character.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the way we use main character. We'll talk about that in an episode about character.
What is the main character?
Yeah, or main character. Yeah.
Do you guys have another hour?
But let's do it.
Just kidding.
Greetings, Podsmash of the internet. Welcome to another episode of Podsmash.
Tonight our topic is going to be about main characters.
Yeah. No, we are not going to start a whole new episode today. We'll leave you with that. Red Dead Revolver, I found that interesting. And yeah, we'll leave you there so you know where to find us, as Termite pointed out. And on that note, have a great week, y'all.
See you next week.